Today's episode of The Dan Cave is brought to you by Shudder. Try a 30-day free trial today by using promo code DANCAVE. What is creepypasta? Is it a rigatoni that's haunted by the specter of a murdered chef? Is it a bowl of spaghetti that you put out at Halloween so you reach in and think, oh no, it's worms? Is it a bastardization of the term copy-paste that references a gigantic internet subculture of viral horror stories that inspired the hit anthology series Channel Zero, now streaming on Shudder? Well, relax, because I can explain. Join me on today's episode of The Dan Cave as we go through a brief history of creepypasta. Like any great horror story, the true origins of creepypasta are unknown to mere mortals, kept hidden by an ancient order of necromancers who use their eldritch knowledge for sinister, secret purposes. Or you could say that creepypasta are basically urban legends for the internet age. It's a term that references the phrase copypasta, which is a colloquialization of copy and paste, and it refers to the way these stories were disseminated around the internet. They were copied and pasted and shared around ad nauseum on sites like Reddit and 4chan, like the chain letters of yesteryear. Except unlike those emails that asked you to forward them on or your crush would have 7 years of bad luck, creepypasta had a tendency to feel, well, real. They're bite-sized, scary stories that'll keep you up into the wee hours of the morning. It's about gathering around this digital campfire and trying to make one another scream. According to Know Your Meme, the earliest appearance of the term creepypasta on 4chan dates back to July 6, 2007, but it's entirely possible that it appeared earlier in some dark corner of the internet somewhere. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's like a haunted GeoCities page out there where the sparkles aren't the only thing that follows your mouse. While they weren't designated as such, creepypasta has been around nearly as long as the internet itself. At their core, creepypasta are user-generated stories designed to scare the reader silly. They're primarily text-based, although many of them also include unsettling audio, terrifying imagery, and deeply uncomfortable video as well. Now, some of them lean into existing legends and others create new myths that then take on a terrifying life of their own in global popular culture. Creepypasta reached a mainstream audience around 2010 after appearing in a New York Times article that immediately made it sound goofy as all hell by calling them web scares. That's what I call it every time I walk face first into a spider web at my apartment complex. It's like, whoa, hey, they should clean this place, right? Like Polybius, the hallucination-inducing arcade game that was supposedly a CIA psyop, or the Bunny Man stalking the streets of Fairfax County, Virginia, the best creepypasta are the ones that seem believable. They're urban legends that have taken on a new life. They take the forms of lost episodes of beloved children's cartoons like Squidward's Suicide, a never-aired episode of SpongeBob SquarePants in which Squidward apparently kills himself. Or they appear in tales of haunted software like Lavender Town Syndrome, which alleges that frequencies in Pokemon's Lavender Town music caused 500 kids to all mysteriously commit suicide. Others are just simple, shareable, spooky images like Smile Dog. I mean, just look at that dog. It's doing me a concern right now. Online. In the olden days of creepypasta, the stories felt like cursed objects that brave internet explorers would stumble upon. As such, many of the early creepypastas were hosted on simple, crudely designed sites on places like Angelfire, so the author could obscure their tracks. Now, one of the best examples of this is 2001's Ted the Caver, the story of a spelunker named Ted who, along with his pals Brad and Joe, discover a place called Mystery Cave that quickly takes a turn for the terrifying as they discover weird hieroglyphs, just screaming, and other supernatural oddities contained within. Accompanied by washed-out disposable camera photos and written in excruciating detail, this story felt so real to the people who read it, and the fact that it was mostly anonymous, just some guy named Ted, made it hard to tell whether or not it was real or just some person spreading internet lies about spelunking. Nowadays, the creators of creepypasta have reams of data about what actually frightens us thanks to the proliferation of our anxieties and fears just spilling across social media and message boards across the land, so we kind of did this to ourselves. As Will Wiles wrote in his 2013 essay for Aeon, creepypasta is a way of learning what frightens us in the network age. This feeling is amplified by the ease with which information, real or otherwise, can be spread in a digital era. Take, for example, the Mandela effect, the term given to the psychological phenomenon of experiencing false memories on a collective scale. If enough of us are so sure that Sinbad made a genie movie called Shazam, or that 2 spellings of the Berenstain Bears are proof positive of a parallel universe, then we could easily be fooled by increasingly creepy and disturbing recollections about an obscure children's TV show called Candle Cove. It's a Twilight Zone episode disguised as an innocent conversation between people online. Another classic creepypasta is SuicideMouse.avi. It's a purportedly lost Mickey Mouse cartoon featuring a distorted Mickey walking down a poorly animated street as the sound and image continue to warp back before cutting to black and the sounds of screaming. Now, the best part about this one from what I've read is that apparently famed film critic Leonard Maltin is allegedly the one who discovered this cursed cartoon, according to the pasta lore. So, I don't know, listen to Maltin on Movies and see if he ever mentions that murder cartoon. Now, the tale that embodies the most transcendent qualities and the power of creepypasta is Slender Man. More than any other creepypasta creature, Slender Man's wormed its way into global popular culture in a way that few other online creations have. Created as part of a paranormal Photoshop contest in 2009 by Something Awful user Eric Knudsen, the Slender Man immediately took on a life of its own as this preternaturally tall, rail-thin man with otherworldly appendages and a blank white face who stalked children, and he began seizing hold of the imaginations of everyone who encountered it. Within days, others had created their own lore about this horrifying entity. It spread to web series, multiple video games, and multiple feature films. It was a crowdsourced nightmare that took on this whole life of its own. Sadly, one cannot mention Slender Man without also mentioning how in 2014, two 12-year-old girls lured their friend into the woods and stabbed her, claiming that it was to impress this fictional character. These girls were found not guilty by reason of insanity, but the damage had been done. This terrible tragedy sparked a national outrage and brought creepypasta into the limelight for all the wrong reasons. However, much like how violent video games don't cause violent acts and how horror movies don't lead to upticks in real murders, creepypasta does not cause those who read it to become real-life monsters. Rather, creepypasta is a literary tradition for the modern age that's reignited a passion for folklore, open-source monster crafting, and a collective mimetic means of scaring one another. And if nothing else, it's a great way to practice your writing. And that is a brief history of creepypasta. But tell me, what are your favorite creepypasta stories? What was the first one you remember encountering? Let me know in the comments below and give me a creepy thumbs up while you're there. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, or else you might miss next week's show about the story of a dead boy genius who gave his mother the courage to write a children's book about two very stressful people ballroom dancing to overcome divorce and mental illness in Silver Linings Playbook of Henry. Until next time, keep on digging. Special thanks to Shudder for sponsoring today's episode. Do you like scaring your pants off from the comfort of your own home so that way once your pants are scared off, you can't be arrested for indecent exposure? Well, Shudder has you covered. It's basically the Netflix of horror. With an extensive library of scary movies, spooky TV shows, thrillers, and things that make you go bump in the night, Shudder will help you beat the heat this summer by sending a chill up your spine. Shudder is available on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Xbox One, Amazon Fire Stick, Google Chromecast, Roku, and I believe certain types of witch cauldrons if you add the right ingredients. For $4.99 per month or $3.99 per month with an annual subscription, Shudder's the easiest way for horror hounds to get what they love. Plus, you get all types of awesome original and exclusive content like Channel Zero, the horror anthology series based on internet creepypasta. Season 1, based on Candle Cove, is available now on Shudder, followed by The No End House in September. And there's much more where that came from. So go ahead and give Shudder a try by using promo code DANCAVE in order to get 30 days absolutely free. Then be sure to send this video to 7 people, or you'll be visited by the not-so-slender man, which is me, asking you why you didn't check out Shudder already. I mean, come on, I'll give you 30 days free. Just do it! Let's open up the old mailbag, shall we? @Jabman10 asks, exactly how big is the Dan Cave, and can I park a Gundam inside? Well, great question, Jabman. Much like a TARDIS, the Dan Cave is bigger on the inside. Its exact dimensions are unknown to earthbound mathematicians. I mean, not even that science boy Kyle Hill could figure it out, even if you gave him a calculator and a lot of time. Ask him online how big he thinks it is. Tweet @sci_file, hey, bud, how big's that Dan Cave according to math or something? I don't know, tweet at him. I don't know, maybe like the 8x11? That's paper, who cares? But tell me, how big do you think the Dan Cave is? And can you park Gundam inside? Please don't, they're dirty, they step on stuff outside. This is my home, I wouldn't park my car in your house. Why, just because it's a cave? Get it together. Anyway, let me know in the comments below and I'll see you guys next time.